Kody Brown from Sister Wives has made a new decision. Whose love is real? This time it will be a test. Kody Brown, who is on the reality show Sister Wives, made an unexpected and surprising choice not so long ago. He has given away all of his personal property in a legal way. Kody says it's time to learn what real love is. He added, "I want to see my wives, who love me without any conditions. I will marry someone whose love is pure and unadulterated." This choice is hard for his 4 wives. Kody also remarked, "I want to be free from this world. I can't handle having 4 more wives." This declaration has made Kody Brown's family even more uncertain and tense. "If necessary, I will divorce everyone and start a new, honest, and genuine relationship." People are also waiting to discover who will really win Kody's heart. Kody Brown stood at the edge of the Flagstaff Mountains, watching the sun set behind the pines and the golden horizon. As he thought about the anarchy that had swept over his once polygamous world, the wind flowed pleasantly through his long, curly hair. The cameras were still rolling, but this time it wasn't for another season of Sister Wives. This was the beginning of the end. Kody had done something that seemed impossible weeks before. He had put all of his personal property, including his cars, homes, business shares, and funds, into a charity trust. The legal notices were sent out, and the paperwork was signed. He made it obvious to the world that, "I'm done judging love by how long someone stays. I want to know who is fighting to stay. I want the truth, even if it hurts. This should be the last test. I only have me now. Who will love me then?" The shock hit his 4 wives like a huge tsunami. Robyn's heart was broken. "This isn't a love test," she said in a confession. "This is cruel. I've given him everything. We made a house and a life. I believed we were the last chapter. And now, he's changing the ending?" Robyn didn't leave, though. She stayed with Kody, making his meals and stroking his exhausted feet at night, hoping that he would recognize that her love was stronger than any money he could give her. Mary didn't weep. Not this time. Instead, she quietly packed her belongings and left the house she shared with her family. "He wants to see love?" Then she responded, "Let him see me this time." She moved into a little house near the Utah border. She didn't answer Kody's calls, but she didn't block them either. Janelle, who is typically practical, got right to the point. "You think that by giving up money, you'll find true love. Love doesn't come from not having money. It comes from being committed," she said sharply during their tense kitchen meeting. Kody didn't say anything. He only asked, "Are you going to stay?" Janelle said, "I'm going to stay, but not for you. For the children. To get me, you'll have to pick us over your midlife experiment." Christine, who had already emotionally distanced herself in past seasons, saw this as her chance to be free. She whispered to herself, "Finally. The last link is broken." She didn't want to hear any more. She relocated to Salt Lake City, rented a little house with a garden, and launched a YouTube channel about being a single mom and being strong. The channel immediately became popular. She smiled again. She appeared more alive and liberated. 3 weeks went by. Then there were 4. No one knew what Kody was really thinking. There were rumors going around that he was seeing someone fresh. Was this just a way to get attention? Then, one afternoon, Kody asked each wife to come to a quiet cabin on the edge of Arizona. No cameras, producers, or legal papers were present. Just speaking from the heart. He asked Robyn, "Would you still sleep next to me on a dirt floor if I never owned a house again? If I were just a man with no future, would you still build one with me? If you had to choose between being honest and safe, which would you choose?" And he penned a letter to Christine. "You've already made your choice. I agree with that. That might be the most real affection of all." Kody made his choice 2 months later. He filed for divorce from all 4 of his spouses. He didn't do it because he was angry. He did it because he was clear. None of us are the same people we were when we started this journey. I've changed. They're different now. It's time for all of us to turn the page. One evening, Mary dropped up at his home with a bag of sandwiches and a question. "Are you finally ready to stop lying to yourself and to me?" Kody didn't say anything. He really did hug her. No pictures. No drama. TLC put out a short documentary called Kody Brown, After the Wives a few months later. Kody said in it, "Love isn't about being loyal because it's easy. It's about being honest in times of trouble. I learned the hard way." Mary and Kody didn't get married again, but they became friends again. Christine stayed joyful and free. Janelle maintained in touch with the kids. Robyn found peace in being alone after a hard change. What about Kody? He finally got it. Genuine love isn't about being picked. It's about making a choice. But Christine stood by the big glass windows of her new Utah home, which let in the beautiful morning light. As she glanced out at the mountains, a serene grin stayed on her lips. The air was cool, but her heart was warm. Today was the day she would marry David, the guy who made her feel loved, seen, and finally free. This moment had taken years to get to. Years of heartbreak, family problems, and private fights with herself. Christine had been trying to convince herself for a long time that she was happy with Kody and that her part in the plural family was enough. But deep down, she had always wanted more, an equal partnership, emotional closeness, and a love that wasn't split. Everything changed when I met David. They first met at a community event through acquaintances they both knew. Christine and David, a construction manager with a deep laugh and lovely eyes, started talking, and it felt like they had known each other for a long time. He didn't know her from the program, and when he heard about her background, he didn't judge her. He didn't care about her narrative. He liked how strong she was. Their connection slowly, but surely grew. David wasn't showy or bossy. He just came. He brought her coffee every morning, laughed at her jokes, asked about her girls by name, and never made her feel like she had to compete for his attention. As the wedding got closer, her kids ran around the bridal suite, straightening Christine's veil, adjusting her dress, and recounting memories that made them cry. Aspen replied, "Mom," her eyes filling with tears, "I've never seen you so happy." Christine smiled and held her daughter's hand. "That's because I can now feel it. I won't waste a second of this second chance." The wedding took place in a meadow full of wildflowers, with close friends and family who were there to support them. This time there were no TV cameras, no scripts, and no need to seem perfect. Just real love, real feelings, and a party to celebrate growth. Christine was not the same woman who went down the aisle to David as she had been in the early seasons of Sister Wives. She had changed. She was stronger, smarter, and full of hope. She had learned that you could always change your story. David held her hands and said softly, "Christine Brown, you are the love of my life." "Thanks for picking me," Christine said through tears. "Thank you for helping me put myself first so I could finally be ready to love again." The breeze conveyed the sounds of laughing, music, and fresh beginnings as they said their vows. Christine was no longer just a sister. She was getting married, a partner, a woman who loves. And this time, she really had her happy ending. But it was a one-of-a-kind season. Laughter filled the air, old friendships were restored, and even though things were changing, the Browns found happiness in unexpected ways. Sister Wives Season 18 didn't just highlight the drama and tension, it also showed the enjoyable, touching, and unique moments that brought the family back to life. Christine had a sudden thought. Why don't we have a family picnic at Coyote Pass like we used to? Janelle loved the idea and took the lead in putting it all together. Everyone, even Kody, brought food, lawn games, and fun. The best part? The adults and kids had a tug-of-war contest. Kody, who always wanted to win, insisted on being the leader of the adult team. But he slipped in the mud and fell, taking Robyn and Mary with him. The kids celebrated because they won, and Christine couldn't stop laughing. They all laughed together for the first time in years. The family had the idea to have their own Browns had talent night in Janelle's garden after seeing Savannah's school talent show. Leon sang a heartfelt acoustic song, Truly did a funny magic trick with Christine's aid, and Kody even astonished everyone by reading cowboy poetry while wearing a hat that was 3 sizes too big. The youngest kids, who dressed up as the Sister Wives and did a parody performance about family dinner arguments, were the real stars. Everyone was laughing so hard that Janelle sobbed. Christine had moved on, but she wanted to retain the peace and the connection for the kids. They had a barbecue in their backyard that turned into one of the best nights of the year. Christine made her legendary ribs with honey glaze, while David set up karaoke. Christine hugged Mary tightly when she turned up out of the blue. She said, "This is for the kids." They even sang a duet. At first, it was unpleasant, but by the second chorus, they were dancing. Robyn and Kody stayed apart, but they couldn't help but smile at how close they were. Janelle chose to take some of the older kids on a weekend excursion in an RV. Gwendolyn, Gabriel, and Hunter went with them. There were fishing, s'mores, spooky stories by the fire, and Janelle showing the kids how to use a camp stove to cook. They played Uno till late at night, making fun of each other and laughing until they fell asleep in their sleeping bags. Janelle remarked in her confession, "I don't care about anything else. When the performance is over, these are the things I will remember. My kids, safe and happy." Robyn usually stayed to herself, but her kids teamed up with Christine's and Mary's to create a surprise flash mob for her birthday in the park. It was the best surprise of her life. Ariella led the way, dancing up front with complete confidence. Robyn cried. "Sometimes you forget how much these kids love each other," she remarked. Of course, Kody joined in on the last chorus, even though he was offbeat. Mary had a rare game night at her bed and breakfast with some of the adult kids, like Michael T., Aspen, and Paydon. They played trivia games like Guess the Brown, Pictionary, and charades. But when someone guessed wrong about who used to steal food after bedtime, a whipped cream pie slapped Paydon's face out of nowhere. The room turned into a full-blown food fight. Mary said in a later interview, "I haven't had that much fun since we all lived in Lehigh." The family, which was broken but recovering, got together at Coyote Pass for a toast at sunset in the last episode of Season 18. They stood in a circle with their glasses up high. Kody said, "We've been through a lot. We might not be the same family we used to be, but we are still a family." Christine smiled as she held David's hand. Mary and Janelle stood next to each other. The kids ran around and laughed in the warm light. For a short while, everything felt complete again. But the cool autumn air gently blew through the open window of Christine's new home in Utah. She stood by the sink in the kitchen and looked out at the mountains in the distance. The coffee in her hand had long since cooled, but she wasn't thinking about what was going on right now. As they got ready for another interview part, the film crew moved their lights and microphones around. Season 18 of Sister Wives was underway, but for Christine, it seemed like the start of a whole new show, with her as the main character in her own life. Christine took a deep breath and said something that would shock the Brown family fandom as the cameras rolled. "I wasn't sure if we were really divorced. I mean, we didn't go to court. We didn't sign anything. We just quit being husband and wife." She stopped, and her eyes filled with emotion, not sadness, but insight. Christine had sat across from Kody in the Flagstaff home they used to share a year before. There wasn't a lot of drama in the separation. There was no yelling or slamming doors. Instead, years of being together in silence and unresolved tension slowly fell apart. She had just said, "I'm leaving, Kody." Kody blinked. "Okay." She stayed put. He waited for him to fight. To ask. To find out why. But all he said was, "Do what you have to do." So she did. She packed up her stuff, took Truly, and moved back to Utah. But it was never made clear what the legal status of their marriage was. They had been spiritually married for decades, but never legally. What did that mean for their separation? Christine opened out in her confessional interview while sitting in her beloved chair. "I used to wake up and wonder if I was free, or simply gone." She laughed cruelly. Robyn often talked about getting married legally. Janelle always talked about spiritual things. And what about me? I just talked myself out of thinking I was important. But now I know better. Her phone buzzed as she was talking. David sent a message. Like a delicate breeze through a cracked window, David Woolley had quietly entered her life. What started as a friendship grew into a sweet love story. He paid attention. He got it. And most significantly, he never made her doubt her worth. "I told David once, I don't even know if I'm divorced," she said with a laugh as she remembered the conversation. And he said, "You don't have to break up with something that never really cared about you." The Brown family, on the other hand, had a hard time understanding Christine's emotional freedom. Mary was cold, Robyn was distraught, and Kody was just puzzled. He added in his own interview, "She just left. One day she was my wife. The next thing she did was taking selfies with another guy." But Christine never thought of it that way. She told the producers, "I waited years for a conversation that never happened. And when it didn't, I knew that was my answer." Christine was now in front of a mirror in her bridal boutique, and her daughter Michaelty was helping her put the last pin on her wedding dress. The smooth cloth shone in the sun. Christine sensed that this time she was stepping into something real. Are you divorced? Maybe not in the courts. Christine had never felt more free in her mind, body, and spirit. As the camera went black, her voice resonated in a last confession. "I didn't need a piece of paper to tell me it was over. I just have to love myself enough to let go." But Kody Brown met Robyn Sullivan for the first time on a bright summer afternoon in Lehi, Utah. Robyn's heart still resonated with the memories, like a song that never stopped playing. A mutual friend had asked her to go to a religious meeting, but she had no idea that her life was about to alter forever. Robyn was a single mother of 3 who faced life's hardships with grace, determination, and faith. She wasn't looking for love in the usual way, but deep down she wanted friends and a family that would adore her for who she was. Then she spotted him. Kody had wild curls, a loud laugh, and a confident presence. Mary, Janelle, and Christine were all around him, but the way he looked at Robyn that day was different. Not wanting to have sex, but wanting to know. Not possessive, but interested. Weeks went by, and friends continued saying how perfectly Robyn might fit into the Brown family. At first, Kody didn't want to hear it. He was already dealing with 3 marriages, 13 kids, and the emotional ups and downs of plural marriage. But he couldn't help being curious. He rang her. Their first talk was uneasy, with nervous laughs and long, quiet pauses. But it also felt not dangerous. Kody was shocked by how honest she was. Robyn, on the other hand, liked how he was open about his love for family and faith. They began to spend time together, always with an adult around, and always being polite. Kody's wife didn't know what to think. Mary tried to be helpful. Christine was not close. Janelle stayed out of it. But the stress was getting worse. Robyn asked Kody to come over for supper with the family one night. Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna were her kids. They were shy yet interested in the new man who made them laugh in their modest living room. In his usual lively approach, Kody made them laugh with his stories. Robyn watched from the kitchen, and her heart began to race in ways she hadn't expected. Kody told Mary in private that he was falling for Robyn. He had said, "It's not just physical. She's nice. She pays attention. And she believes in what we're attempting to do." Mary's heart hurt. She smiled and claimed she was in favor of it, but as soon as she turned away, tears flowed down her face. In the meantime, Christine started to pull away emotionally. "Another wife," she said to herself. "Where do I fit in now?" Kody proposed after months of dating in a way that was both unexpected and sincere. With only the sound of crickets around them and the moon shining down, he asked, "Robyn, will you walk this path with me? Not just as a partner, but as part of this family and this faith?" Robyn cried, nodded, and then continued quietly, "Only if my children are fully accepted, not just by you, but by everyone." It wasn't easy to bring Robyn into the family. Christine thought she had been replaced. Mary felt scared. Janelle stayed away, trying not to pick a side. The family dynamic changed quickly. Jealousy grew, old wounds reappeared, and fairness was always on everyone's mind. But Robyn stayed cool in the middle of the commotion. She was resolved to not only join the Brown family, but also help them recover. She tried to become close to each wife, but Christine took the longest to open up. "I'm not here to take anything from you," she informed Christine once. "I'm just here to be a part of something bigger." Robyn sat in her peaceful living room in Flagstaff, surrounded by pictures of her kids and grandkids. Years later, life had changed a lot, both good and bad, but she remembered that summer day in Lehigh when it all started. Was the trip easy?
No.
Was it worth it? She smiled. Yes, she said to herself in a whisper. It made me who I am.
But
as Janelle drove into the gravel driveway of her new home, the sun in Arizona sank low in the sky, spreading long shadows across the red rocks. It wasn't big. It wasn't showy. But it was hers. After years of doubt, shared property, and broken promises from Kody, she eventually resolved to take charge of the situation. Janelle got out of her car and looked about at the small two-bedroom ranch-style house she had bought with her own money. The porch still smelled like new wood stain, and the garden beds she planted last weekend were already starting to bloom. She felt a rush of pride. But the moment didn't last long. A gold SUV she knew was behind her. Kody strode out with his brows furrowed and his jaw set. Janelle got ready. You weren't supposed to make a choice without talking to me first, Kody remarked harshly as he walked toward her with that telltale tightness in his stride. I did talk about it, Janelle said, keeping her position. For 2 years. You just didn't pay attention. Kody laughed. That land on Coyote Pass was supposed to be our future. Are you going to buy a property on your own? That says something, Janelle. She crossed her arms. And what does that mean? That I was tired of waiting? That I wanted a place to live that didn't depend on your plans changing all the time? Kody snapped. This feels like betrayal. We're a family. No, Kody, Janelle said, her voice rising with emotion. You act like we're part of your kingdom, not partners. I needed things to stay the same. Not promises about land that will never be built on. I've lived in an RV, a rental, and in limbo. I'm done. Kody walked back and forth, raking his hands over his hair.
So this is it?
Like, Christine, you're leaving me too? Janelle stared at him for a long time. I'm picking myself. Maybe yes, if that means ending a relationship where I'm never the most important person. The trees rustled in the arid wind, and they were quiet. Kody finally turned to look at the home and then back at Janelle. You really did this without me. I did, she responded in a low voice. That's why you're so angry. He didn't say anything else before he left. Janelle stood alone on her porch, her heart beating, but she felt more at ease than she had in years. She was doing more than just building a new house. She was starting over. Hello, beautiful viewers. Welcome to my channel. I'm Sabrina, and I hope you're having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the video.